When Tails Doll brought me back to life for the sake of fulfilling his tasks, he followed me into a different town because it was time for me to question what I wanted to do with my life. I wonder where he is now. Here's something a little different. 2023 has been a year of grand changes. I've left the teen's prison and entered life's funnel cup, I've learned what enemies are, and I've betrayed every principle I stand for, thrust the world into chaos, and caused grief for untold millions. By which I mean I have a girlfriend now. Truly abhorrent. So naturally, why don't I reflect on the one thing that hasn't changed much? Each video I've released this year has had some kind of story to it. A story I feel is worth sharing most of the time. I mean, hell, I jumped the gun with the Zero Gravity video, hence why it's the only review I won't be talking about. Merry late crumbles, and let's celebrate being 1 year closer to the heat death of the universe with some backstage tales. We begin with a game from a series I usually ignore. I've got a couple friends that are massive Toho fans. I myself have dabbled in it a bit, and I can see the appeal. I mean, have you looked at my 2022 lineup? That said, if a game series isn't part of my core, I'll usually put it on the shelf quickly. That's why, when I was introduced to the game by whoever this guy is, I was actually sold? People as hoverboards, you gotta understand. However, another thing to understand is that I'm an asshole. If I accept something I normally wouldn't do or say, there's usually a catch, especially with friends. This is the same guy that wanted a Minecraft Let's Play after all, and look where that went. However, I was willing to treat Gensou Skydrift with more dignity, seeing as it looked like a fun deviation from the typical race formula, so I made the spite subtle. Getting character names wrong repeatedly, particular music choices, showing my friend's reaction to the script. All of these were done with the same purpose. I made sure not to let it bleed into my critique of the game though. I have standards after all. Ultimately, I feel it turned out well. While the analytics aren't super strong, I feel Gensou Skydrift's review is the most polished one I've made, with the only inherent flaws coming from my live shot audio having the wrong input, forcing me to dub over it in post. Breaking the fourth wall here for a second, I showed this to my friend who is a Toho fan, and he had an interesting reaction. Fortunately, he's busy right now, so I don't have to worry about... It was also fun, in a morbid way, to see a different friend lose the color in her face from the poor track design. Not every game can be Mario Kart. Something I've realized is that I picked a really shitty time to start a YouTube channel. The bulk of my serious content was made during junior and senior year of high school. As nice as it usually is to start early, my lust for money and college credit led my channel to suffer as a result. I went into that during this little semi-apology video back in January, but it's why Valve time is to be expected with me. I may not be a professional, but I like to use voice acting to fill in the gaps between my major reviews, the real bread and butter. A vacation to Universal Orlando was coming in hard and fast around the time of uploading, so I needed something to fill in the blanks while my next topic still needed work. I like the Soup Store meme, so I did what any guy who lacks digital drawing skills would do. Took some Sonic Colors DS stills, used my actual living room as a backdrop for shadow, made a loop of some Sonic Generations BGM, and shouted into the microphone. It was a resounding success. To this day, the Soup Store dub is the only video of mine to reach the 4-digit mark. Someday, Wario. However, the Soup Store video has a problem that I will bring up later on. For now, nosotros tenemos hablar en un idioma diferente. For the most part, my schoolwork and YouTube projects have been pretty separate from each other. One would become the catalyst for another, but my sophomore projects are lost to the flow of time like with most of my relationships from the time. And good riddance too, because some of them could have gotten me arrested. This finally changed in March, coming back from Universal. My Spanish class had everyone do some kind of project, with one of the prompts being an ad. Realizing what I could do with the lack of strong parameters, I decided to take inspiration from the one sophomore project that didn't suck, and make a satirical ad about the Nintendo Switch. I couldn't keep it completely in Spanish, of course, thanks to game titles and being a native English speaker, but I did the best I could. Not all of the footage was clean, but I really wanted to sell the ad aspect by showing visual reactions in real time. I made sure to go with satirical ad actions 101, like biased advertising, breaking the flow, and making creepier implications than if I were to meet my high school crush again. So remember when I brought up the screaming goat toy? As an English speaker, I'm pretty sure that's what my audience mostly is, so I decided to accompany the Spanish project with an English version that, in my opinion, flows better. Since it wasn't sanctioned by the teacher, I could also alter the script however I wanted to, so that's nice. It might have been because they followed up the soup store, but they did pretty well. The next video did too, and exactly for all the right reasons. As a Sega nut, I like when I can validate these boxes with wires using games that I don't necessarily need or enjoy, whether it be a physical copy of my almost retired running gag, a Japanese copy of Mega Man 8, or this has-been. Bug was an almost successful attempt at giving the Saturn a mascot, and it has one of the shortest names a game has ever had. I wanted to bring attention to this fact by making a review made entirely of one-word fragments. It was pretty suitable for an April Fool's joke, so I left a different video on the back burner in favor of it. If you want my opinion on the game, it's a product of its time and aged in several aspects. You need to be in the right mind to enjoy it, and the reason the video only went to the third world is because the game is both antiquated and annoying at many points. I couldn't get these bubbles to line up right, and World 5 is a pain. And so, the game would fall into the Lobotomy Corp bin of things I want to finish but feel no urge to. The full version of the fragmented script and a legit review are to come, but I couldn't tell you when. I, being the hopeless sack of shit I am, will probably still get the second game even though I don't like the first much. That's how I be, and I can't deny it when the first game has this gem of a game over screen, this gem of a soundbite, or when the video has this gem of a comment. Speaking of gems, I know I explained the video's existence at the start, but I need to go deeper. As senior year's fuse was shortening more and more, and when I took up the offer for my college's summer program, I knew I wouldn't have much time to really upload videos. As a result, I needed a game that I knew I could record, script, and edit quickly. Now, one of my many spare time hobbies is writing fanfiction. I probably won't give this much attention since I want to keep my subscribers, but I will mention one episode. Following a security breach-esque game of survival in a carnival on lockdown, Tails fixes up a seemingly reformed Tails doll to accompany Cream, and since Sonic R can be completed in an hour, 2 plus 2 equals a new video. A new video that spelled doom for the rest of my channel. The Sonic R video has some problems, most notably the footage. The laptop I primarily use for video work is a hand-me-down getting on in years, and it really showed with the frame drops and stuttering in the footage. It gave me one joke about the card killing itself, much like technical difficulties gave me a joke in the Shadow video, but it can't escape my self-criticism, and neither can the Tails doll joke. Look, I think the Sonic R video has one of the best endings of any review I've made, but the idea of making a series of videos that fulfill tasks needed to revive me only caused problems that would make my production classmates cringe. Every video following Sonic R was made hastily, and you can tell. Well, aside from you. Kind of. I don't have anything much to say about this. These were random numbers that said some shit, so I said some shit back. Some of it was true but altered, most of it was lying. The Brilliant Adventures of Jesus Christ and Blue Toad was another reference to my fanfiction, and I'm still surprised how the first guy went along with it. I'm also still convinced that the second person is my high school crush's bestie that got number fed. Adversary of somebody I loved. Sure thing, rules card. I wonder where I rank among YouTubers who share the most personal info. As long as I don't become Chris Chan. This was actually one of the first videos with my on-again, off-again thumbnail artist. I'm glad I have one because I can't draw for shit digitally. There are some hiccups like poor cropping and the occasional wrong frame, and while it's minor enough for me to ignore, it still contributes to the overall theme of what I now consider my content dark age. Rushing. The first two videos in this series, Sonic Ruthless Torture and forcing a coworker to play Mario Party, both have similar themes. Both were made in early summer, are formatted in a manner similar to the multiplayer reels, and both are wrapped up in some weak production values. I don't have as much to say about the former aside from the hilarious collision detection issues I ran into. Seriously, in a better video, these would be iconic. However, Mario Party gives me more notes. This was a video idea I had since I started working at a local 7-Eleven in August last year. While working there has taught me that people are inherently lazy. There were mobile orders for a single bottle of Pepsi, what the hell? I did have some pretty cool coworkers. I related to one of them enough where we had the idea of a Mario Party video for months on end. Twas a paid agreement, but still an agreement. Now, I had fun playing and messing with this guy's feelings, especially since he's older and stronger than I could ever be. He hurt me with a freaking pack of Starburst! The problem is everything else. I could have done more of the editing, the audio was originally desynced from the footage, and the footage itself? Oh boy. I made the mistake of recording the camera and game footage on the same input. Mario Party 8 does this stupid thing where the menus are rendered in 16:9, but the rest of the game is in 4:3. A 2007 Wii game in 4:3 with the Wii U doing no favors. This isn't like an old game through my converter where the blanking is hardly noticeable. No. This is the kind of egregious shit that makes anyone cringe. Trying to stretch it out harms the picture quality, so in order to make it more palatable, I had to use my editing program's Auto Enhance, which didn't fix everything as you can clearly see by the picture quality. At the time, I only had one laptop that could handle OBS, so I had little choice. If I were to make a second video now, however, I could dual monitor and improve the overall sound balance past acceptable level. Visuals aside, there was still a massive problem following the first round. We did a second one on King Boo's Haunted Hideaway, but my ex-coworker's attempt at ASMR corrupted the rest of the audio and made the second round null. This is why your hair is pink in the thumbnail, pal. We're both interested in taking a second shot at the game, but we would need the coordination of an orchestra maestro to make a part 2. I'm in college an hour away, and my video making ability tends to be hindered when I return home. Ironic considering when I'm actually making this video. It may be a year after the first, but forcing my now ex-coworker to play Mario Party will come again, and it will eclipse the first, I guarantee you. Allow me to put it like this. I like performing, and I don't like Valentine's Day. One of them exposes my pathetic innermost desires without a care for my feelings, and the other is Valentine's Day. Since I never cared for it, I wanted to make the day special for myself this year by forcing my classes to watch me sing Bo Burnham's Lower Your Expectations song. Not only was it fitting, but I received major applause from most of my classes, thus condemning those poor souls to a rabbit hole of song performances for coinciding events, be it Easter and my last few days at school. I took the best recordings from the latter and made it into a piece of side content to tide you guys over while I was taking a vacation in Hell on Earth, also known as Texas, and then adjusting into college. The production values were sort of out of my control for this one. There's only so much you can bring into a school, especially when they decide to employ the friggin' TSA there. What is our country coming to? All in all, it did okay. I can't say I'm necessarily proud of it, but it's there, out in the world. It might have a spiritual successor of some kind going by my college activity so far. Wario time! College is busy. No shit, right? This equates to most of my free time being spent strictly on the recording and scripting side of production, less on the editing. That's usually the most time-consuming part of the process. However, since I have some Mario reviews in the docket, I remembered just how beautiful the Super Mario Land 2 commercial is. That, and the fact that WarioWare Move It came out a week or two before, made me finally willing to give Wario a shot. First, I wanted to take my vocal cords for another test ride by voicing over all of Wario's 90s commercials. I even used audio separation AI to improve my sound mixing. In the end, while I could have tweaked my mic settings to make it sound better, it was exactly the kind of video I needed. It blew up, even appearing in the search results at one point for Greenhorn Forest, the Wario World track I used as the outro. The best part? I made it in a couple hours after a day of production work for school. I don't know what it is about Wario, but it always seems to net me great results. And yet I still haven't played any of his games. Before I go a little further into Wario, I have two more things. First, the Valve Time Video Lightning Round. Meant to come after Gensou Skydrift, kept getting pushed back. No review plans, but I had a cold while playing the game and decided to turn it into a joke. Plan to have my girlfriend play it mostly blind. I'm sure she'll stay comfortable. Gonna be a joint mostly blind venture between me, my girlfriend, and this guy if time permits. The original follow-up to the night's reviews fell through because of my disc condition. Was gonna be my Halloween special, but I never got started on the costume I would wear for it, making recording a galaxy-sized waste of time. Time constraints have forced me to push back the Mario game reviews I've been recording and scripting back to 2024 because Yeah. Finally, the big one. The one that I can say, with some confidence, should be out before I'm back in classes. This isn't a fast one. This is why I don't do requests without a catch. The one CPU who recommended Gensou Skydrift is also a Project Moon fan, and I made the dumb mistake of promising to make content on a game he would gift me on Steam. The game he chose would go on to become the next Zero Gravity. I just can't force myself to care about Lobotomy Corporation. No matter how much I adapt to the gameplay, no matter how much I optimize my employees, I can never get to the stopping point my friend gave me, the first Sephiroth meltdown, without feeling drained or bored. The Fallout Shelter gameplay style just doesn't appeal to me enough for me to push through and get into the lore, which apparently is one of the game's strongest aspects. That's why, spoiler alert, I don't actually reach the Sephiroth meltdown. When you get a new abnormality, it's a roll of the dice whether or not it's going to be easy to take care of, and when you're playing with a goal in mind and an ulterior motive, the wrong abnormality can kill your motivation faster than it can kill your employees. Let's just say that the last one I got before I stopped playing for good was the equivalent of rolling snake eyes in a game of craps. General apathy is only part of the equation, however. Finding time to record was a gamble because of my college schedule. Figuring out decent lighting took some time because of the shortening daylight. I'd have less to say without my girlfriend around. I have Tails doll portraits that still need coloring, and only now, on winter break, am I up for editing it myself without college draining my time. All I can say is, I hope it turns out well. You know what they say, the hottest fires forge the strongest steel, so perhaps the development hell will result in my strongest video yet. Zero Gravity was a similar case, and continuity errors aside, I still think that's one of my best reviews. Aside from this sack of it's the most viewed review on my channel, and apparently Project Moon games are analytical darlings. I'll leave that last part up to the dice. Finally, second. I'm the kind of guy who will immediately notice and try to remedy problems in my work, and I already feel that absolutely everything from last year, everything I care about anyway, is in for a redo. An Act 2, if you will. I have a community poll going on asking you guys what I should remake first for 100 subscribers, and provided Pokepark wins, which, yeah, it's definitely winning, this will start my Act 2 series, where I redo older reviews with better line reading, production, and editing. I'm gonna be Disney, but actually good. So, what did we learn from this? Nothing.